Do you like scary movies? What's going on, guys? I'm Chris and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be giving you my ranking of all 5 Scream movies as the new Scream, which is just called Scream for some reason, just hit theaters. Before I get into this, make sure to hit that like button. It does help out. Comment your ranking of the Scream movies down below and make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. So coming in dead last for me is going to be Scream 3. This is just my least favorite by a long shot. This movie can be a chore to get through at times in my opinion, as it just drags on with a lot of unnecessary flashbacks to Sydney and her relationship with her mother, and she's kind of viewed as like this ghost figure in flashbacks. It just doesn't really work for me, and the whole scene on the movie set is really dragged out as well. Plus, this is one of the lamest killer reveals in the entire franchise. For whatever reason, the character chemistry just wasn't as great in this one, and it is easily the least memorable of the Scream franchise, but I will say the opening with Cotton is fantastic, and it's sad what happens. I won't say if you haven't seen, but it was upsetting to me. We do get a Carrie Fisher cameo, so that's cool. Next up for me is actually going to be Scream 5, or Scream, the newly released movie that is in theaters right now. I want to clarify that I liked this movie. I thought it was very enjoyable, and it had its standout moments for sure. The kills are quite brutal at times. There's one in particular that I am thinking of right now that is definitely brutal and gory, and I will say that I bought into this young group of new characters as a friend group. They definitely sold the chemistry, even though the performances could be spotty at times. Now, I'm not crazy about how this movie used the old or legacy characters. They felt wasted in my opinion. Like, I didn't really like the role that they had, and the movie was almost too meta for its own good. Now, I know the whole Scream franchise thrives on being meta. There's literally stab movies that are retellings of the Scream movies within the franchise, so it's extremely meta by nature. But this one almost got so meta to the point of annoyance, to the point where like every character was trying to go through all the rules and, oh, you might be the killer, so I'm not going to talk to you. It became irritating to me and almost took me out of the movie in a sense. Also, the movie does talk about toxic fandoms, and I thought that was pretty clever, especially with regard to Star Wars, so I have to give my props to that one and them sneaking that little hint in there. But I found this movie to be fairly predictable, and with Scream movies, I love the unpredictability of it all, not really knowing who's going to be the killer by the end. But with this one, when a certain character showed up on screen, I literally turned to my girlfriend Cam and said, I think this person's going to end up in this role, and I was completely correct in my assessment of the situation, so that kind of deflated the movie a little bit for me. But overall, it is a fun Scream movie. Longtime fans of the franchise will have their moments to enjoy with it, and it's not bad by any means. It was just alright. I enjoyed it. Next up for me is going to be Scream 4. Now, this movie actually might be the most surprising out of all of the bunch, just because I didn't have any expectations going into it, but it ended up having a really fun time, and it might just be the most shocking killer reveal in the entire franchise. Genuinely did not see this one coming at all. I like how this movie introduces new technology, and it's kind of like aging with the times. For example, the way that they use live streams and how that plays into it all. Like, there was really cool technological advancements for the killer, and a lot of the kills are extremely brutal. I would argue almost more brutal than the most recent Scream movie, Scream 5, so it's definitely got its fair share of enjoyment for the Scream fans. The opening of this movie is so damn good. It's very clever the way that you see these different scenes play out repetitively, and you think, is this the actual movie? Is this the actual kill? But then it just turns out to be the stab sequels. I love that intro so much, and while it is very meta, it doesn't go overboard with the meta. Like, yes, it is a meta movie, but Scream 5 felt a little overboard to me. This is some of the best Sydney, Dewey, and Gale interactions we see in the franchise, and I just really enjoy Scream 4. My runner-up for my favorite Scream movie, though, is going to be Scream 2. I feel like this is the movie that comes the closest to recapturing the magic and just the greatness of that first Scream film. And the mystery surrounding Ghostface in this movie was also a surprise, I will say. Randy gets some more screen time here, and he is just a goat in this movie. By definition alone, they're inferior films. I love that line when he's talking about sequels. By the way, shout out Inside the Sequel podcast. My boy Chris Hurtado has a podcast, and that's part of the intro. You gotta love it. I love how it takes place on a college campus. Cotton has more of a role to play here. It pays homage to certain horror films in a way with the killer reveal that I thought was very clever and fitting. And overall, I just had a damn fun time with this one. Dewey and Gale have great interactions. It just builds the lore of Scream even more, and it comes the closest to the original in my opinion. But when it comes to Scream, nothing's gonna top that original movie. It's not only the best Scream movie, but it's one of the best horror films of all time, and one of my personal favorites. The opening with Drew Barrymore killing off one of the most beloved actresses at the time in a brutal fashion is really a way to hook your audience in, because they put her on the poster and made her seem like she was going to be the mainstay of this franchise. That is not the case. The first time I watched this movie, I had no clue who the killer was going to be. It kept flip-flopping. Very clever with the way the final act played out at the house. The movie is very self-aware. I love how Randy's watching Halloween and then Ghostface walks up behind him. There's just a lot of great bits like that, especially the fact that he works at a video store and can break down the rules of the horror movie and how you can try and survive. It's very clever in this movie, but later in the franchise, it becomes a little overused in my opinion. The third act reveals were very clever, super well acted, it has the most iconic lines and just moments overall in the franchise. I love so many of the characters in this movie. It's the most well written and the most fresh of the entire franchise. Not a lot of horror movies really compete with Scream. Like if I want to go back and watch a Scream movie, it's always going to be this one. If I had to pick one to keep, it's going to be the original. It's just the king of the Scream movies. It's the first really self-aware horror movie that pokes fun at a lot of the stupidities within the genre while still delivering some thrills and terrifying moments. You gotta love Scream. But that's gonna do it for my ranking of all 5 Scream movies. Again, definitely let me know yours in the comments down below. It's very cold where I live right now, so I've been wearing a hat in the recent videos. I promise I did not shave my head. But thank you guys again for watching. Again, hit that like button, comment your ranking of the Scream movies down below. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'm redoing this room later today, so I'll have an updated movie room tour very soon. Very excited to show you guys that. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.